inventory. But when you're on board on any facility, the first thing you need to do is to get record of the whole asset under your care. This will help you know their condition, know the numbers, that is having a track record, which will help you in your budgeting and also your maintenance and PPM and all that preparation. That's what I understand. Thank you.
Correct. That was fantastic. Thank you very much, Austin. Mr. Victor Asogwayan is up. Please can you contribute for your
Okay, good afternoon, class. My takeaway from last class was the aspect that talked about the difference between asset management and property management. They're not same, but they're similar. And usually when I hear assets, what comes to mind is property, like since I'm a real estate person, where it goes down to, portrays that assets are usually in facility management, assets are usually undergo depreciation. Yeah, so after every year, the end of every 12 months, and while property does not. And the second one is how the facilitator for last class, how he explained the life cycle of an asset, and it's how he gave an acronym for BAD, like BAD, B for the birth, of the facility, and A means the activeness or the facility being alive, and throughout the span, and the D represents the stage where the facility could be disposed or decommissioned.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Victor Soga. That was fantastic. Thank you so much. We have Bamidele Oroleke. He was taken from the last part.
Good evening, everyone. Last week my take home was on assets, the differences between, I got more understanding on asset register. And one of the things I took home was, my take home was on the differences between that. There's difference between an asset and an inventory. The inventory is just for a short period of time that, that is not a viable item that can be kept by the company. These are staplers, paper, notebooks, and pen, markers, and co. But an asset is something of viable, that is so viable, that is so tangible to the organization. And it lasts a long period of time. We talked about machine, we talked about the building, the generators, the equipment that the company used. So that gave me a knowledge that there's difference between an asset and an inventory. And what we're looking at as our last meeting was on asset register, and it gave me knowledge that once a facility manager had a good record asset register, it could easily track when the machine was bought and when it's going to be due for so many activities and other information. Asset register is very, very important to a facility manager that helps him in carrying out the operation and maintenance of every activities within the facility. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bani. That was an excellent one. Can we have Kingsley Aya will give us the takeaway from the last class?
Yeah, I just spoke before this person who spoke.
Okay, thank you. Faith Oyedele, can we have your takeaway from the last class?
Please pass. Could you please pass to another person, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Fakorede read one. Please, can you give us your takeaway from the last class? Fakorede read one. Your audio is very, very bad. I can barely hear you. Hello, Mr. Fakorede read one. Your audio is okay. So while we wait for Mr. Fakorede to get ready, can Celestine Ikoye give us his takeaway from the last class? Yes, please go ahead.
Basically the difference between your asset and your inventory. We usually interchange those words in work. So it was pretty enlightening to learn the clear difference between them. The inventory is quite perishable and has no value at the end of its life, while our assets retain value and can be reused or recommissioned and disposed. It has value basically at the end throughout its life cycle. So that was very enlightening for me. Another thing I picked up was the life cycle process, the asset life cycle process, how our instructor gave us the acronym BAD and put P in front. So BAD for birth, that's the commissioning of the assets. A for alive, that's operation and maintenance. Then D for dead, that's disposal of the commissioning. Then the P put in front was the planning phase, where you plan to acquire the assets. So that's really what I took from that last class. Thank you.
Right, excellent. Thank you very much, Mr. Iweno Fuchuchu, for that beautiful takeaway. Can we then have not speaking? Michael Benrudada, please can you give us takeaway from the last class?
Good morning, good evening, everybody. I actually learned more about asset tagging and labeling system, which will help you to also identify your assets, know where it is, and by using a computer-based system, you should be able to know when the asset is due for sell, maybe after the life cycle, because there is going to be a life cycle for the asset. Either you sold it off, and sometimes it will help us to know which asset is still in use in the company. Sometimes some people made a budget for asset that is not in the system anymore. By using a computer-based asset monitoring and asset tagging system, we'll be able to know if the asset is in use or not.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Benru Dada, for that beautiful takeaway from the last class. So can we have Mr. Nduka Alexis give us a takeaway from the last class?
Good evening, everybody. Last class was very interesting to me because in my facility we have all this that was mentioned, and it really opened my eyes to the fact that these things are real, and it helps, and it also makes it much easier for someone to actually locate and identify the equipment based on the access register. And it also gives me the opportunity to also look inward and look for a way to apply it on my own self, because even as we working for the company, we are still an asset. And we go through this life cycle somehow, from the time you are employed, during the time you are active service, and when you are leaving the company. I think it also gives me an insight on what and how to plan about, even myself as as a facility manager. So it's a very big one for me, I will say.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Mr. Alexis. Thank you so much for that takeaway from last class. So can we have Obisanya Aminat give us a takeaway from the last class? Obisanya Aminat, are you there? Okay, so while we wait for Obisanya Aminat, can Oladimeji Dayo give us a takeaway from the last class? Okay, while we wait for Oladimeji, can Sami Ojo give us a takeaway from the last class?
Hello.
Yes,
Good afternoon. Good evening, sorry. The takeaway from last class. I think my takeaway from last class should be the ability of a facility manager to actually be physically present, a walkthrough system, which you don't just collect data from maybe your people on ground. It's good for a facility manager to always be on site, to see things, enumerate things, and tag them yourself if possible. Don't just be a facility manager who's always seated in the office, just do the planning or do the paperwork alone. Always try to be on ground to hit the ground.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Samuel Ojo, for that beautiful takeaway. Hospital should join us in the next few minutes. So while we still wait for him, can Faith Osayime give us a takeaway from the last class? Faith Osayime, are you there? Okay. So while we wait for Faith to get ready, can Oluwatobi Ayola give us his takeaway from the last class? Okay. Can Umachukwu Chimeze take away from the last class?
Good evening, all. Hello? Good evening, all.
Okay, hello. Good evening. Can hear you, Mr. Chimeze.
Okay. My take home is based on life cycle of an asset. It starts on design or construction, operate, repair, maintenance, and upgrade or retire, right, which is the last. Hello?
Hello, yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead. Hello, yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead. Okay. To this end, I would like to bring an end to the takeaway session while I hand over the balance of time to our facilitator, as he's currently here. Assuring you that you enjoyed today's session as usual. Sit back, relax, and listen attentively to your
everybody. Please, you can unmute your speaker. Let me confirm you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
We can hear you loud and clear. Can I hear you? What do you want to do? I can hear you. The second one. I can hear you. Go.
Thank you. So, sorry, we're starting a bit late, please. I think it's some situation that is beyond our control. Thank you very much. So today we shall be dealing with facility condition assessment, and these are all some of the terms to be coming across in the course of this today's training. FCI for facility condition assessment index. YFCA stand for facility condition assessment. OIM means operation and maintenance, and MEP is mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, and it is mostly referred to as M&E before, but it's no longer termed as M&E. It's now MEP. So building system include your building, your plumbing system, your electrical system, your mechanical system, your roofing, your transportation system. These are all classified as building system, including your communication system. Then schedule of dilapidation, document prepared and negotiated by party, mostly landlord and tenant, setting out the work that needed to be done. And most time in projects refer to it as snag list. So most time refer to it as snag list. Then FPA is facility performance evaluation. These are all terms condition assessment. Then what are the processes that you have to go through when you want to conduct a facility condition assessment? Then what are the levels of facility condition assessment that we have? Then you should be able to perform facility performance evaluation. Then we should be able to differentiate between facility performance evaluation and facility condition assessment. Then at the end, you should know how to design a facility condition assessment format and the required tools that you will need when you want to carry out what is called facility condition assessment. These are all what we expected to be able to understand at the end of today's training. And what are the course modules that I'll be looking at today? We're going to do introduction to facility condition assessment. We'll do the purpose, we'll talk about the scope, then we're going to talk about the process and facility condition assessment, documentation, and review. So let's quickly go into introduction. But before I commence teaching on that introduction, on that facility condition assessment, is there anybody among us who can just give a brief explanation of what he or she understands by the word facility condition assessment? From that word, facility, what is facility? What is condition? What is assessment? Just only one person, please.
Okay, I would like to try.
Okay, please. Hello. Go ahead. Go ahead, sir.
From the expression, it's strictly talking about the status of the facility, the condition, the status, in the sense that if it is good, if it's bad, if it requires corrective maintenance or preventive maintenance, stuff like that. Just talking strictly about the status of that facility in code, assessing it, documenting it, and planning towards it. That's my opinion.
You didn't mention your name.
Okay, my name is Ayola Agility. Sorry.
Your name is what?
Ayola Agility.
Okay.
Ayola.
So, Mr. Ayola, remind me when we see. I will give you a round of applause.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Your explanation is very, very good. So, facility condition assessment. Can we all see my slide?
Yes.
So it's a process of inspecting. You can see the word inspecting is being bold in that definition. Each system in a building to understand its condition. You remember when we were discussing the terminology, I mentioned building system to us. And your building system, including your roofing system, your electrical system, your mechanical system, your plumbing, your communication system, your safety system, which include your fire extinguisher and all this. So your transportation, your transportation include your lift, your walkway, your staircase. And when you conduct inspection, what exactly are you looking at? You want to know the current condition of that facility. Just like what Mr. Yola just earlier mentioned, that you want to know if that facility will actually require an upgrade, if you can carry out a preventive maintenance on it, if you need to do what you call a revamp, or the facility require an outright decommissioning. These are all information you gather when you do your condition assessment. So you are trying to determine what are the deficiencies in that facility. Then what is the remaining useful life of that particular asset? Then you should be able to from your report, you should be able to determine your facility condition index based on all the data you have accumulated through your assessment. And conducting a facility assessment is not done by one single person. It's not a unilateral decision. It is a multidisciplinary review of various systems of a facility. At times, it can require you to take the support of an architect. It could require you to take the support of an MEP engineer. Or at times, it could even require you to take the service of auditors, or the services of safety auditor, or legal. At times, it could be even a legal services that you will require. So that's why it is not just only a unilateral kind of assessment. It is multidisciplinary because you are checking almost entirely all the system within that facility. Then the second advantage of carrying it is to provide recommendation regarding the root cause of deterioration of a failure. So you want to know what is actually causing that failure. Just like you notice a damp wall, you really want to know what is actually, where is that water leakage coming from. Then 3, you conduct assessment in order to provide detail for remedial action plan. You want to know, is that facility needed an upgrade? In terms of revamp, you need to do repainting, you need to carry out some civil work. Then to produce capital replacement plan. Because most of the time when you carry out this assessment, the kind of upgrade or repair and maintenance activity you need to carry out in that facility might be a capital intensive project. These are all information you can gather when you conduct your assessment, and it also helps you to make a vital business management decision. It also supports you in terms of your operation and maintenance. These are all what you gain when you conduct a facility condition assessment. And what is the benefit of evaluating a system? So I put this one as a major benefit because there are other benefits, but the 5 major ones are: 1, it helps you to determine your short-term financial need, which are more or less like your cash available for your day-to-day operation of that facility. Then competitive needs. At times you could do what you call a gap analysis. Gap analysis, when you conduct a competitive analysis within your facility, it is called a gap analysis. But when it is externally, you're trying to compete and compare your facility with another facility. What is actually this facility doing that is gulping in influx of end users into that facility? Or why is this facility selling at a higher rate? Those are all competitive needs, and that is termed as benchmarking. Then you can do that in order to determine what are the long-term mandates. Fine, you have a facility whereby you have the generator is already deteriorating, and you are planning that maybe possibly in the next 5 or 6 years, you have to change that generator to another brand new one. These are all information you can when you conduct facility assessment. Then your building stewardship and also your strategic alignment, because when you conduct your assessment, it will definitely change your strategic, and whatsoever strategic alignments you are going to put in place, it must be in line with your company vision and your company mission, or possibly the company objective. These are other benefits. But you can see from this slide, These are the major ones. This is not the only final benefit of conducting facility condition assessment, but these are other ones. One, it helps you to develop your asset register, which we have already discussed on a Wednesday when we discuss asset management. It's conducting your FCA helps you to determine, to set up your what? Asset register or inventory. It also helps you to prepare engineering descriptions, specifications for system and components within that facility. It also helps you to identify and record the existing condition of the component. Is the component can still be reused? Does the component require maintenance? Does the component require an outright replacement? These are all information you can get. It also helps you to determine the remaining useful life of a component. So from your assessment, you can decide that this asset cannot take you more than 3 years. Then if it can't take you more than 3 years, then you can start making a long-term plan for how to replace it in terms of what it's going to cost you, where are you going to position it, and what are the costs of installation and every other all the cost that is what entails. It helps you to prepare cost estimates related to the maintenance, repair, rehabilitation, or renewal of that particular system within that facility. It also helps you to prioritize components for what? Maintenance, repair, or renewal. So when you conduct your assessment, you can base all the assets you want to attend to on priority. The major one, the most critical one, and the minor one. So the major ones are the ones that you give urgent attention to because you know they are very, very key. Most especially your power in your facility or possibly water in your facility, because you can't run facility without those two items. Then it also helps you to compare the cost of the system and the component remediation versus cost of facility replacement. So you can compare and contrast. Can you spend money to repair that asset? And if you repair that asset, what will be the efficiency of that asset? How long will that asset serve you? And if you discover that the cost of repair and the cost of replacements are almost the same thing, I think it's of the economic advantage for you to go ahead and get that particular asset replaced with a brand new one, because with that, you stand the chance of getting what you call efficiency, you stand the chance of getting what is called a warranty. And you know, before you start thinking about repair maintenance, it will take a while. You can only be spending money on preventive, which are more like your routine or daily maintenance. What are the elements of facility condition assessment? One, your building interior. Two, your civil or site development and amenity, which includes your pavement, your entrance, and your sidewalk. These are all your transportation system within your facility. Then, the document review drawing, specifications, reports, and record. These are all your condition assessment. Then, fire protection and life safety regulations. Then, your mechanical, your electrical, and your plumbing system, which is MEP, like I already said. And I told us that it is being referred to as MIE initially, but it's no longer called MIE. It is now MEP. Then your structure, your foundation, and your exterior wall. These are all elements of facility condition. These are all what you can carry out assessment on in a facility. So preliminary review and on-site observation, which require you doing a physical audit of that facility. Somebody asked a question on Wednesday when we were having the asset management. It was like, how can she carry out condition assessment? And I told her that we're going to be dwelling on that topic today extensively. But as at that Wednesday, I gave a very simple example, because you can't conduct facility condition assessment online. There is no any software worldwide that can do that for you. You need a physical appearance. You need to be there. Your information that you generated can now be input into your software devices, but you still need to carry out your audit physically. Then part of the element is your production, your process, your packaging equipment. These are all elements of your what? Facility condition assessment. These are all areas where you can carry out your assessment as far as facility management is concerned. And it is always required, if you are a facility manager taking up a facility management post in a new establishment that you haven't been working before. The first thing you need to do is to conduct your assessment so that you are trying to know exactly what are those assets that are in your portfolio. And again, what is the condition of those assets and what are the strategic plan that you need to put in place in mitigating against or in order to ensure that those assets are performing their designed purpose. So what is the financial benefit of your facility condition assessment? One, it improves your facility data. You have enough data at your proposal to make necessary management decisions. Then it helps you to define your facility. Then you know exactly what your facility is. You know the exact thing you are going to be partnering with in terms of operation and maintenance in that facility. Then it also helps you to gather data that you can use to justify your capital expenditure, you know, your commences from 10 million naira and above. So, and at times it's also known as capex, and you call your capital expenditure as what capex and your operation expenditure as what. Oh, then it helps you to streamline facility management and also improve facility condition, because these are all financial and strategic benefits of carrying out the facility condition assessment. It also allows facility personnel to be better planned, manage, and direct work. So you know what are the required manpower that you need to carry out a lot of tasks, some certain tasks within that facility. Then what with that resources, what are the necessary resources you need to use? What are the tools you need to put in place? What are the safety measures you need to put in place? These are all information you can get from your facility condition assessment. Then it also helps you to prioritize your short-term planning issue. Even despite the fact that you still need to do what we call operation and maintenance or day-to-day running of the facility, there are some that are very, very, very key that you can pay them whatever priority. And there are some that you can leave pending when you have this financial capacity to carry them out. So what are the results of your condition assessment, your FC? One, understanding what is in your portfolio and the condition of each of the facility, which I've already earlier mentioned. Visibility into the appropriate level of capital funding for each building and across what the entire portfolio. So you know what are the actual amounts you need to spend per asset and all assets encompassed or in the old facility. Then it helps you to prioritize facility capital plan that align with the organization mission and goal, which I've earlier mentioned. Whatsoever plan you have, it must be in line and it must be in tune with your company's vision, mission, and goals or possibly objective. Then it also helps you to identify efficiency, deficiency, and estimating the correct cost to correct all those deficiencies in that particular facility. These are all the results of your FCA. Then what is the purpose of condition assessment? There are several numbers of purposes, but the first and the foremost is it helps you to establish a repair cost, the current repair cost. Current repair cost means after you have conducted your assessment, you make sure you do what we call summary of all your reports, and this could involve you taking several numbers of pictures, you have measurements, then at times it will require you to take the support of an accountant. Then you start sending out what you call BOQ, that is bill of quantity, or you start demanding for quotations from vendors who can carry out repair for those ones that you know they are repairable, or for vendor to supply you codes to replace those ones that require an outright replacement. So it helps you to establish current repair costs because what you're actually carrying out is current condition of the facility. So you evaluate the cost of the deficiency, establish current repair costs of correction and deficiency, create a prioritized list of repair. Which one do you need to attend to first? Is it the building envelope, which including your structure? Is it your foundation that you need to attend to first? So the condition of that facility will determine how you're going to prioritize the assets you're going to attend to first, or then it also helps you to, in terms of budgeting, either it is going to be top-down budget or bottom-up budget that will be successful in controlling costs while the most critical deficiency are being resolved. This is the first advantage of your facility condition, this first purpose of your facility condition assessment. Then Two, it helps you to forecast future costs. Understanding future deficiencies is just as important as calculating the building condition, current condition. Forecast cost by breaking down a building into individual components. Individual component means the roofing system. You can break the roofing system down into what? Each individual component, which include the roof itself, the wooden frame, the ceilings. It could be the normal asbestos, it could be your suspended ceiling, and it could be POP. Or when you're talking about electrical system, this could include your generator, it could include your LV panel, which is your low voltage panel. It will also include your DB, which are your distribution board. And even inside the DB, you still have your breakers that have been there. These are the way you can break down each individual component in the facility into their individual breakdown activities. Then it also helps you to establish both short and long-term budgets by estimating the life of the building system, one, by calculating the forecast cost based on their representative portion of the building's total replacement value. So you calculate your replacement cost as well. Then it's also help you to maintain data. Let me show this graph. If you look at this graph, which is facility condition assessment, or let me take us back a bit. At the established current repair condition, you see this table. That is facility condition assessment, facility condition index. And how do you determine your facility condition index? Your facility condition index is the ratio of the total repair cost divided by the total current replacement value. That is your facility condition index multiplied by 100. I'll come again. Your facility condition index is the ratio of the total repair cost after the condition assessment has been carried out divided by the current replacement value of that facility or that assessment multiplied by 100. So when you have your assessment and you teach your index and you have the ratio to be between 0 and 2%, that means your facility is what? Excellent. If you have it to be between 2 and 4%, the facility is still in good condition. If you have it between 5% and 10%, the facility is in a fair condition stage. But anything above 10% means that facility is in a very poorest condition. At that period in time, you could start thinking about revamp, repair, renew, or possibly decommissioning and what? Rebuilding. And if you look at this second graph, you see that when the asset is still brand new, you can see your maintenance cost is very, very low when the condition is still very excellent. But as soon as the condition starts deteriorating, your maintenance cost also starts what? Increasing. So you see, when your FCI, this is facility condition index, is above 10%, that is when a replacement of that facility is what? Required. So it also helps you to maintain building data, forecast current and historical data from previous what? Assessment. From the other previous assessment, you have a lot of historical data that you can go through and to make some vital decision as a facility manager. Then it also includes a current set of typical deficiencies and the best correction for each of those itemized deficiencies. It also helps to use the cost model life cycle analysis. What do they mean by cost model of life cycle analysis? Your life asset cycle is, when you're talking about asset life cycle, you're talking about, I mentioned of that on the Wednesday when we did asset management. I said every asset has a point where it is being given birth to. And the point when it is alive, that is when you perform operation and maintenance. And the point is coming when the asset is what? Is dead. And that is time you have to start talking about your salvage value, your decommissioning, your resale, your decomposition, or you want to dispose of that asset. But before the part of an asset, there is something that is called planning. There was planning, there was design, there is installation and there is commissioning before you start talking about operation and maintenance. And after the life of that particular asset expire, you start talking about maybe you need to dispose of that asset. Maybe you need to like decommission that asset, or possibly you need to review that asset. These are all costs combined together that form your total cost of ownership as far as asset life cycle is concerned. To assign the life expectancy for all building systems. Then plan energy efficient system. It increase the building effectiveness of what? The energy effectiveness of the building. When you conduct your assessment, you could maybe from the assessment you have done and your summary, instead of going for generator, you could vouch for, okay, let's go ahead and start using solar. Let's go ahead and start using inverter. Let's go ahead and start using wind. So you can make use of other form of greenhouse energy from assessment. You even fittings from the fluorescent. Asbestos, or possibly there are several numbers of roofs that you can use now. They can what last longer for almost a period of 20-30 years. You remember then when we started, when plumbing commenced, it was galvanized pipe based on greenhouse efficient that we're trying to like reduce corrosion as far as possible. We move from there to UPVC, which is your PVC pipe. From there, we start talking about pressure pipe, which is white tiger pipe. From there, we start talking about pressure pipe. So this time around, there are certain pressure that you can subject your pressure pipe to, as far as plumbing is concerned, that you cannot subject your galvanized to it. Then with that, you are even able to reduce what we call form of building leakages. These are all what you gain when you conduct your facility condition assessment, helps you to have what we call plan energy efficient system. And what are the scope? What are the scope that you need to use when you want to conduct your facility condition assessment? One, site inspection is necessary. I said there's no any software that will conduct your facility condition assessment for you. But your software, you can conduct the assessment physically. After conducting it, input all your data, all the information you have gathered so far into your software, and you can refer back to them at any time as possible that you need them. So what do you do when you do site inspection? To observe the general site improvement and condition of all major building systems, which including your roof, your transportation, your electrical, your mechanical. Then, two, the second scope is that you have to review building documents. And what are those documents? Your as-built drawing, your building record, your construction documents, your building codes and violations. So there is always, I always tell facility managers that there is a difference between your as-built drawing and your engineering drawing or architectural drawing. You get the architectural drawing before the commencement of the project, but your as-built drawing is what you received after the end of the project, during handover of that project to the project owner. Then two, production of detailed list of schedule of dilapidation. And I've given us a definition of schedule of dilapidation initially as part of the terminology in that before we start the training. A schedule of dilapidation is a description of any defect present in a building. And I told you, most of the time, some of us that are into lease agreement or some of us that are into facility rentals, you know, you do this a lot. Most of the time, tenants will take your facility and they could rebuild that facility. And part of what is going to form the schedule of dilapidation is that that facility has to be returned back to its original stage after the expiration of the lease agreement period. These are all called schedule of dilapidation. And most of the time, it is referred to as snag list in project. It's a list it lists the problem with the maintenance of a building. Then it's also the schedule of dilapidation is prepared after the completion of a condition was solving. These are all what schedule of dilapidation entails in facility condition assessment. What about now? Okay. So, developing costs for remedial work. You'll be able to determine an estimation of the cost to correct the backlog of deferred maintenance. These are all maintenance activities that have not been carried out, that were neglected or deferred, basically based on financial reason or reason been known to the initial facility management company that is maintaining that facility. It also helps you to arrive at a defensible estimate of investment cost. Maybe possibly an outright replacement is required or a revamp is actually required. Then you will be able to identify area of improvement. What are those areas that you needed an improvement? Possibly you are having a staircase before and you want to inject a lift into that facility. These are all information you can get from your facility condition assessment. Identify any opportunity for adaptation and improvement to the what? To the facility. You could have a roofing sheet in that facility before, and this time around you can decide to go for what? An asbestos, or possibly you have a suspended ceiling before, and this time around, after the conduction of the assessment, you could decide to go for POP. These are all vital information you can make after from the information you gather from your assessment. Then you are able to evaluate current condition of the asset. That is part of what you gain when you conduct facility condition assessment. It's evaluating the effective age of that asset, estimating of the remaining useful life of that asset, forecast of future life cycle, the renewal of the asset as they reach the end of their useful life, service life. Then to provide a benchmark of the current performance of that building. These are all what you gain when you conduct your facility condition assessment. These are what you have to achieve under the scope of facility condition assessment. We're going to have a 5-minute break. So after the 5-minute break, we're starting from the processes. What are the processes you need to take when you want to conduct facility condition assessment? And 5 minutes start from now. This is 6 o'clock. So by 6:05, we'll be back from that short break. Thank you very much. Yeah, we are welcome back from that short break. Please kindly unmute and let me know if you can hear me. Please unmute your speaker and confirm if you can hear me.
I can hear you, sir. I can hear you clearly, sir.
I can hear you, sir.
I can hear you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
I hear you, sir.
Okay. So I said we're starting from process of facility condition assessment. What are those processes? One, what are the instruments that you need to use when you want to conduct your facility condition assessment? The process starts from required instruments. Your instrument could be measuring devices like as small as a 5-meter measuring tape or all these infrared measuring tape. Data capturing devices like your camera. Most of the time you could use your phone. Your data sheet, where are you going to be jotting all those information that you are trying to gather? Your camera, then safety, your protective gear with your PPE, then other necessary equipment that you think you need for that assessment, or possibly your safety boots and all this stuff. These are all what you need to first of all have in place before you commence your assessment. Then, what is the step involved? Step 1, designing the assessment. Before you go for your assessment, you need to design a format. Possibly for plumbing, you design a format, and what are those things you want to be looking for under plumbing? Leakages in well, restrooms. So you need to design a format. that once you get to site, you're only using that format to gather your information. Determine the assessment scope. Are you conducting the assessment in the morning, in the afternoon, or in the evening? Because if you are doing a roofing assessment, a roofing system assessment, you can't do it in the afternoon when the sun has already gone higher. That kind of assessment is based on very early in the morning. Then select the assessment team. Who are the team that you need? Do you need the team of plumber? Do you need your team of electrical guys? Do you need an MEP engineer? Do you need an architectural? Do you need a structural engineer to come and conduct the structural integrity on the foundation and the wall envelopes? Then how do you mobilize the team? Are you getting a vehicle who is going to convey them from your office down to the facility you want to go access? Or everybody will come with their own public vehicles, or they're coming with their car, and you all assembled at that facility where the assessment is to be carried out? You need to select assessment team and mobilize each of those things. Plan the inspection and arrange the site. You need to plan. Is the site going to be done on a Monday morning? Is it going to be done on a Friday? Is it going to be done on a Wednesday? Then arrange the site access. Who owns the key to the facility? Who will grant you permission to access to have access to each individual part of that facility? These are all what you need to have when you want to conduct your assessment. Then step 2, after you have done that, then you can move to site and start collecting your data. You prepare the inspection form, conduct the inspection, prepare your finding and conclusion report, gather your report. Then step 3, after you've collated all your reports, what are those techniques you can use when you are collating your data? 1, you can use visual review. You can use user survey. User survey means you design a survey and give it to all the end user and get all their feedback from that service. Then from there, you can easily gather all your data and some necessary information. Then you can interview the end users or the operators. Then you review all the documents. Then you satisfy the review and you summarize all your questionnaires. These are all techniques you can use to gather your data. And after you have, then other ones are you interview the facility staff or the operators. You can as well, who happen to be the contractor that constructed the building. You can take a visit to their office, ask them some certain questions. From the information you gather from them, you can know what are the condition of those assets. Then you can do what you call destructive testing on that asset. There is what we call non-destructive testing, and there is what we call destructive testing on assets. Destructive testing, part of it is when you conduct a structural integrity on your facility. Then you can do condition monitoring base. Then selection of appropriate reinvestment formula for calculation of the maintenance or the budget. These are all techniques you can use to gather your facility condition assessment data. Then step 3, after you have collected your data, you can now summarize the results, evaluate the inspection, prepare a summary report, compile your data, and prepare. After you compile your data, you gather all your quotations. You pick up who is actually the vendor that is going to carry out, if it is repair, if it is supply, if it is repair, or the commissioning. Prepare your quotation, then you move to step 4. You do presentation of your data. Communicate your findings. So, you present your finding. Sorry for that signal loss. That is part of a Nigerian factor for all of us. Somebody said rain affected virtually everything in Nigeria. What's rain for? We have issues, either transportation increases by ×2. So back again, I said step 4, you present your finding to management. You communicate your finding, you select your final report, you design your presentation and present your report to management. And what are you trying to do? What are you trying to do when you present your whatever? You are trying to gain their support, and what you are trying to get is their approval. And once they give you the approval, then you can go ahead. Whichever one you want to start repairing, you commence repair. Whichever one you want to push to the future for future recommendation, you do that. And whichever one you need an actual replacement, you start sending your whatever to your procurement department to get those items ready for you. That is under putting the assessment to work. Then this is an example of a facility condition assessment checklist. But this checklist is looking at the entire facility in terms of system context. That's why you see you have electrical system. And under electrical system, you have lightings, distribution board, and electrical fitting. You have security system, you have mechanical system, you have power system, you have building fabrics and other systems, which include your swimming pool, your refuse system, your gym, your horticultural or landscaping. This is looking at the facility as a system-wide. But there are other checklists that you can design that will give you a detailed information about that facility. And I'm going to show us an example of that one again. This is also a sample of FCA checklist or report that you can get. If you look at this, you have the assessment location, you have what is the category of that asset, how can you describe that asset, what is the condition of that asset when you assess that asset. Then, how can you describe that defect that you noticed during your assessment? Then, you want to categorize your assessment, their condition into minor, major, or possibly not required. Then, what is your recommendation? Let's take accountant office as example. What is the category of the asset? Electrical system. That is what we assess in that account office. Then, what is the description of the asset? Ceiling mounted fitting. What is the condition? The condition is still fair. Okay. Then, how do you describe the fault of that asset? Broken fittings cover. Is it a major or minor? It is minor. Then, what is your recommendation? Replace fittings cover. Okay. I'm hearing a background noise. Can you please help us mute your speaker? Replace fitting cover. Then the first level of FCA that you can do is drive-by assessment or top-down assessment. And drive-by means on where is the one we're discussing asset management. I give us an example that if you want to buy a car, most especially a Nigerian used car, you can just drive by, assess the car, and pay. So when the car started developing fault, you won't have anybody to blame because you didn't do a thorough assessment. So a high-level review that focuses primarily on the system level with less detail applied to the condition of the individual asset or component in that facility. So how do you collect your data in terms of level 1 FCA? You have approaching the facility at the system level, just like what I showed us here. This is an example. This is a checklist that signifies an example of what? A drive-by assessment. Then, providing general micro statements about the projected concern associated with each system of the building. So you are actually not going into detail as far as that facility is concerned. This is drive-by. Then you have the second level is walkthrough assessment. A colloquial expression for the mid-range level of assessment on a 3-tier scale. It's just like the middle is a middle range between your crawl-through assessment and your walk and your drive-by assessment. It includes an on-site visual assessment to collect empirical data on the condition of the assessment. So you have to be on site. Then the third level, which is the third one, which is the most effective one, is the crawl-through assessment, just like you're crawling. It's a colloquial expression for the highest level of assessment on a 3-tier scale. A rigorous assessment. Signal loss again. I don't have signal. Okay. So, a rigorous assessment of the asset that is carried out as a component level assessment or bottom-up assessment in order to gather empirical formula. The assessment team spent more time on the field of observation. So this is the best you can do as far as FCA is concerned. It's not that the other ones are not good, but if you actually want to go into a root cause in facility condition assessment, your level 3 is the best option that you can use. Each of these levels has both advantage and disadvantage. And what are their advantage? Your core true assessment advantage include you get detailed information. Then 2, you have actionable data. Then what is the disadvantage? It is very expensive because you spend a lot of time. It may require a lot of team to carry out that assessment. It is time consuming, then may not be necessary for all assets. So there are some assets you might not even need to carry out a through assessment on them. So that brings us to facility performance evaluation. So why do you need to do performance evaluation? As a facility manager, we provide service to end users. What is the feedback of the end user as far as the services that we're providing? Either soft services or hard services. We provide services to end user. Either we're running a real estate or we're running a lettable space facility management, or whichever form of facility management we are service we're rendering to end user. We need to evaluate that service to know our current position, either for improvement or to maintain that status quo, or we need an improvement. Or you can do that same if you have a third party that is maintaining your facility. You can conduct a performance evaluation for that facility management company to know if they are kind of facility management, third service provider management company you can retain, or you need to replace them as far as your facility performance is concerned. What is facility performance evaluation? It is an extension of what had been called post-occupancy evaluation. You do facility your FCA before an occupant will occupy that facility, but evaluation is after occupant has already moved into that facility. So it's a post-occupancy evaluation. FPE is a continuous process of systematically evaluating. You do your FCA, it could be once, your FCA could be once in the life of that facility. When you are moving into a facility newly, that is the only time you require to carry out an FCA. But your FPE is something that you have to do consistently. It could be on a monthly basis to justify your performance in that facility. It could be on a quarterly basis, it could be biannual, or it could be annual basis. It is a consistent evaluation. It's a continuous one. But FCA is might be once in the life of an asset. The performance and or effectiveness of one or more aspects of the building in relation to issues such as accessibility, aesthetic look, cost effectiveness, functionality of that facility, what is the productivity of that facility, security-wise, is that facility secured, or safety-wise, is that facility safe, or can that facility be what? Sustained. So these are all what you do on a monthly basis, could be on a monthly basis, and that's the reason why you know in some facility you do what we call security review meeting or facility review meeting. These are all fall under FPE, your facility performance evaluation. Then you do your FPE to better understand the impact of early design delivery decision. And that will also help you to make a long-term efficiency or effectiveness of the building. Then 3, it also helps you to better understand the impact of the building delivery process and decision on customer response both initially and over the life cycle of the building. So you get a feedback from the end users. What is the building delivery? Is the building delivering according to the expectation of the occupant? Or do you have a transportation system that is in tune with their expectation? Or do you have a power system that is in tune with what? With their expectation, or you have an electric power supply? And these are all reasons why you need to be doing your FPA either on a monthly basis or on a quarterly basis for you to gather necessary information for improvement. It extends beyond a physical assessment, and it also includes consideration of obsolescence and others such as qualitative factors. So it's not just all about assessing your facility. It is about assessing your facility to know area where you are lagging behind and to also improve in those areas. It also helps you to know what are the current situations that your facility is facing. How can you resolve those issues? How can you improve on security? How can you improve on safety? How can you improve on power? How can you improve on transportation system? How can you improve on communication system within that facility? It is your FPE that will help you in determining this. Then, during the applying phase of your FPE, what do you do? It consists, you prepare documents, you report the finding of the analysis, you recommend action, you prepare documents, you carry out the survey, then you do a summary of your survey and you put a recommendation on what you want to do. Monitoring and reviewing the outcome of such action undertaking. So outcomes are important. Why? Because they may be used as a feedback to modify or improve in the next cycle of your FPE processes. So when you conduct your FPE, you have to ensure that all the information that you gather, you either archive them or keep them safe, because you may still refer back to them when the need be in the nearest future. So what is the benefit? One, you have short-term benefits related to immediate design decision, facility maintenance and management issue. These are immediate benefits. The medium-term benefit, which is talking about 3 to 5 years period benefit, is related to generating useful information for future projects. Maybe possibly you have a project you are planning to carry out in the nearest future. You have another estate you are planning to build. Some of the issues that you are mitigating currently, that are mitigating against your current performance in your current facility, you could, one way or the other, rectify them and disallow them from reoccurring in the current construction that you are doing currently. Possibly you have a drainage system issue in your current facility. When you do your facility performance evaluation, you could use that result to correct the same thing in your upcoming project work. Then long-term benefit, which is 10 to 25 years period, related to improving the long-term performance of the building and to justify what? Major capital expenditure of that facility. There are always difficult involved in establishing a clear link among users' assessment, because at times the user might be requesting for a service that, as far as your facility management company is concerned, in terms of finance, in terms of availability, which is not possible. But you need to use what we call a chink or a relationship base to make sure you resolve all these issues, because in that facility, end user could be requesting for a brand new generator, in which you know that it's a capital intensive kind of replacement. And as at that period in time, it is not within your budget and you don't have the financial capacity to carry out this. For that kind of situation, what you needed to do is you use relationship to make sure you resolve that issue between the end user and your facility company. So the positive outcome, because at times, what they actually require for, by the time you do your performance evaluation, you might not be meeting up in that area. So at times it will be very challenging meeting up positive outcome. Then, and the physical environment, environment may not allow you to carry out some requirement that the end users are asking for. So the relationship between facility design and facility performance evaluation is very, very complex and fuzzy because the facilities is designed to accommodate tenants. But at times, the facility at times can be designed. Possibly, maybe somebody else come around, take that facility. And the drainage system that has already been designed here can no longer accommodate the current tenants that are staying in that facility. Like a facility that has been designed for an office environment now, is now being taken over by a fast food who generate a lot of fat and a lot of water. So there is always a different relationship between facility design and your FPA. Your FPA might be very complex, and in that facility, by the time you are acting a fast food operator that how they enjoy your facility, you can be complaining, I'm having blockages today, blockages tomorrow, because the facilities is not initially designed for what? For a fast food operation. And that's the reason why you see most of the mall, like all the shop right now, they always have a dedicated area for all fast food because they have already put into consideration the design that suits a fast food operation. These are all the challenges that you could face when you are performing your facility facility performance evaluation. Then, how do you conduct a successful FPE? Develop a clear statement about what the organization wants to achieve. Don't overhype that performance evaluation in such a way that you are telling them the reason why you are carrying out the evaluation is because we want to change their generator. And you know, you don't have the capacity to do that. You could conduct an evaluation requesting for information about your power service. That from there, you'll be able to deduce what are the necessary you need to do to rectify the power issue within that facility. The link between evaluation and stated requirements have to be explicit and easy to treat. So when you want to conduct that evaluation, you must state what you want to achieve. And there must be a link between the evaluation and the stated requirements. Identify resources available to carry out the FPA. What are the resources that you need to carry them out? Do you need a third party? Do you need to do what we call a survey? Do you need to send a survey document out to each and every occupant of that facility? Why they fill that checklist or that survey and return it back to you? Match data collection and analyze the data to the available time and what and budget. Don't forget, they said available data, available time and budget. Don't give a time frame that is not achievable. Determine appropriate methodology. So what are the appropriate time you want to carry out the evaluation? Is it in the morning? Don't start knocking in an estate. Don't start knocking a tenant or an occupant door, maybe when it's the time for him to relax from an hectic work day. So inform respondents or occupants about the purpose of their involvement and how the data will be used, how the data will help them. Every occupant wants to hear. Those are the kind of language that every occupier wants to listen to. They want to see what is the benefit of that survey, what is the benefit of that evaluation that you are carrying out. How is that going to impact on their living within that estate or within that facility? Establish performance goal based on existing as well as changing trend. Interpret and synthesize FPE findings in useful way for the likely user. Make results widely available for action by different group of stakeholders. Suggest way to consolidate FPE results and lesson learned as organizations' memory. Develop an effective method to disseminate the consolidated data. So after you have gathered the data, you can send back to the end users. These are the data we gather, and these are the recommendations. This is what we needed to do. A record of past projects may serve as a good justification for future facility performance evaluation. So what are the benefits of evaluating your building system? One, a feedback loop to enhance continuous improvement process. You are evaluating because you want improvement. Then two, improve fit between occupants and their building. It helps you to know how the occupants and their building are faring. Then it also helps you to optimize your services to suit the occupant of that your facility. Then it helps you to reduce waste of space and energy. So you know area where there are no occupants, so you can shut down your power system at that particular facility. Validation of occupant real need. So you'll be able to come to realization of what exactly does the occupant of your facility need as at that period in time. Then it reduces ownership or operational expenses. It also helps you to improve competitive advantage in the marketplace in terms of facility, or if you are into real estate, you know why occupants are trooping into one estate compared to another one. What are the barriers? What are the challenges that you face in implementing when you are implementing your facility performance evaluation? Fragmented incentive and benefits with the procurement and operation processes. That is, lack of agreed and reliable indicator, because you are saying this is what you can put in place and occupants are requesting for something. So there might not be a particular reliable indicators there. Potential liability for owner. Why? Because occupants are requesting for what you don't have the financial capacity to provide as at that period in time. Exclusion from current delivery expectation. Your current delivery is that you want to provide power within 12 hours and occupants are requesting for what? 24 hours power supply. So that is exclusion from current delivery expectations. Then exclusion from what? Professional curricula. Professionally, as a facility manager, with your budget at hand, with all the resources at hand, you know what you can give, put on the table, but what the end users are requesting for are different from your professional curriculum. So there is generally no money set aside for FPA. These are all the challenges you could be facing, because at times your FPA could require you printing out some documents, generating some drawings and everything. And what of if there is no financial backup as at that period in time? Sometimes FPA may require a considerable amount of time. What of if you don't have that time to do that? Organization may not always have people with necessary skill to conduct FPA. These are all barriers and challenges you could come across when you want to implement facility performance evaluation in your facility. Then, above all, professionals do not like to have their work judged by other professionals, because at times you can require, this may require you to call other facility manager from other facilities to come and help you assess to determine if you're actually performing very well. But you don't want somebody else to come and start telling you to pick up your mistake or to pick up area where you're not performing well. So professionally, we don't want other facility or other professionals to come and judge our work. And this brings us to the end of today's training as far as facility condition assessment is concerned. Now we have an assessment question, which is 10 assessment question to attend to. It's more or less like an assignment you have to attend to, get this done, and send it to Baraka through the medium through we are using to submit those assessments before. This, we still have some time, then I welcome as much as possible questions as possible. But we're going to do a brief recap. I told us that there's a difference between FCA and FPA. FCA is condition assessment. You do it before you occupying a facility. But FPE, you do it after you have already occupied that facility. Just like when you are giving out a room, a 3-bedroom flat to a tenant, the tenant will come around to come and assess that facility. Tell you want this wall painted, you want this ceiling replaced. This is what facility condition assessment is all about. Then we've mentioned what are the tools that we can use, what are the type of facility condition assessment you can carry out. We've discussed about facility condition index, which is being determined by the ratio of total amount of money required to carry out maintenance after the assessment has been carried out, divided by the total amount of money, total current value of that asset. That is facility condition assessment. And I said, when you have between 0 and 2, your facility is excellent. Between 2 and 4, your facility is what? Good. Between 5 and 10, your facility is fair. But anything above 10, your facility is in poor state and require a decommissioning, revamp, resale, or repair. So I welcome as many as possible questions.
Please go over the calculation again, sir, please.
Okay, facility condition index is the total repair or maintenance cost of that asset divided by the current replacement value of that asset. Total repair cost divided by the current replacement cost, multiplied by 100. That is your facility condition index. For instance, if you have a laptop, the cost of the laptop is 100,000. The cost of repair is 90. So you have 90 divided by 100, multiplied by, that gives you what is the condition of that asset. So I welcome as many as possible questions. I want to believe we have so many questions to answer. Okay, Mr. Faith. Please go ahead, Mr. Faith.
Thank you, sir. Quick one. And this may have been covered by you, but just the question is, what determines when facility condition assessments should be initiated? Is it the age or the use? For example, if the building has been up to 50 or 40 years old, is that when to do it? Is it age that determines, or it is when you walk through, or when you drive through, or what determines that?
What determines that is when you are taking up a new facility. As a facility manager, you want to take up a facility to maintain that facility on behalf of the facility owner. For instance, let me take 1004 estate for an example. If you, Mr. Faith, is being called on by the owner of 1004 that we need your Faith Oyedele and company to come and maintain that facility for us, the first thing you should do is for you to carry out a condition assessment of that facility, because you don't want to carry what we call liability. You want to know what are the condition of every individual asset in that estate. Then when you conduct that assessment, you are going to write a report, write cost of getting them done. It is only when you are getting them done that you now take the servicing of that whatever, or you are an HVAC expert. You are being invited by a facility company to come and maintain the air condition for them. You don't just send cost to them. You need to visit that location, carry out an assessment, a comprehensive assessment on all their air conditioning units. And you are going to provide your report. This air condition, there's no amount of repair that is carried out on it that will save that air condition. You need to buy a new one. This one, the compressor is bad. We need to change it. It is after they have carried out all your necessary recommendations, then you can now take up that service and start maintaining that air conditioning for them. I hope that answer your question, Mr. Faith.
It does. Can I answer? Ask the second one, or more like a comment, but can I go on?
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Please.
Go ahead,
okay,
sir.
so since it requires experts in
yes.
what do you call it now? MEP, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing.
Yes. Structural engineer.
Structural engineer. Since it requires those experts, those learned individuals to come and do the assessment for the facility manager. So it will appear that the real work of the facility manager is more like an administrative thing. There's a background anyway, but I hope you can hear me.
I can hear you, Mr. Faith. You know, yes, your assessment could be in different formats.
Yes.
If you are to assess, for instance, if you are into lettable space facility management stuff, you have a tenant that is coming in to come and take a lettable space within that your facility. That doesn't require you to call any expert. It's just an assessment between you and whoever is coming in to take that lettable area. But when you want to take up a facility like a 1004 estate, or you say Lekki extension estate or whatever, you need to conduct what we call a comprehensive assessment. Or possibly you need to, your generator in your facility. If you want to conduct an assessment, you can take your generator expert or your technician who maintain that generator. So it is not all assessment that may require you using an MEP. It all depends on how bogus the assessment is. It's like you want to take up repair and maintenance contract for Nigerian building. You don't just send them quotations.
Right.
You need to go there, assess all what they have on grant. Then you are giving them quotation based on that. These are what you need to put in place. This needed to be done, or possibly you are getting an apartment for your MD. You as a facility manager, you need to go to that facility, to that apartment that you want to rent for your MD. Assess that apartment before you pay, before you give your signature that your finance manager should go ahead and disburse the rent bill. Because when you assess, it is after you assess that you now gather your report, take unnecessary picture, then sit down with your MD. Sir, this is the house we got in for you. These are what we observe. Then your MD now say, okay, Mr. Faith, I want this done, I want this done. Then you get back to the landlord. Before my MD can move in, you need to get this thing done. Or possibly, like lettable area, you have your building that is just a story building. And a fast food, let me take an example. Chicken Republic is not coming around to come and take that facility. You have both you yourself and Chicken Republic engineer, we sit down together, assess that facility. This is the area they want to take, and schedule of dilapidation will form part of the report you are going to write, because after the expiration of their lease or lease agreement period, they have to return that facility back to its what? Original status, the way it was before they took over. So I hope that answers your question, sir, Mr. Faith.
It does. And then finally, could this same facility condition assessment also be referred to as building condition report? I say so because in my office, we call it building condition report. And it's more intrusive.
You know, at times, your building condition report is more or less like you are trying to evaluate your building to determine its integrity. You could be doing this at every 3 years. You could be doing this at every 4 years. It's different. They are two different things. Because when you are doing building review or whatever, you do it only basically on that building. But when you are doing assessment includes you are going as low as checking chairs and tables in that facility. You are going to as low as you are checking sockets in particular. That's the reason why, if you remember, we said you can break your building system down into each component. Like you take your electrical system. What is your electrical system? Generator. You start with generator. You check what is the engine of the generator. What is the condition of the engine of the generator? That is different from building assessment.
Well noted. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're much welcome. Okay, Mr. Kingsley.
Good evening, sir. Thanks for the class today. My question is, you mentioned on the facility performance evaluation that most time there is no budget for it. So my question goes, is it? Hello? Can you hear me?
Go ahead, go ahead. I can hear you.
Okay, you mentioned there is no budget for it. That is using of more. No, when you are doing evaluation, you have to do either through.
Most time. I'm not saying there is no budget for it.
You have to carry out.
There might not be budget for it.
Okay, most time. Okay, I just want to get that because we can.
No, most time there might not be budget for it. And when there is no budget for it, doesn't mean you can't carry it out.
Just
in your office, you can design a survey, which is just in one single page survey. How is our service? Is the security service okay? Just like a single page.
Okay,
with just 2,000 RM of paper, you can print it out, send it to all the tenants, let them fill it and send it back to you. You can use that one to generate your report and take a final decision from there.
Okay, sir. Good. Thanks.
Yeah, Mr. Samuel. Mr. Samuel, please go ahead. Unmute yourself and ask your question.
Okay, good evening.
Oh, it seems as if you are having a network issue at your end. Okay, I'll come back to you. Mr. Latubosun, please go ahead.
My network is pretty poor. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah.
Can you hear me, sir?
Let me quickly take Mr. Latubosun. I'll come back to you, Mr. Samuel.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
All right, good evening, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Or, Mr. Samuel, you can tap your question, then I'll provide an answer to that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Latubosun, go ahead.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah,
Can you hear me, sir? Yes, sir.
I can hear you clearly.
I actually want to, yes, I actually want a clarification on one of the teachings. I want to get a clarification on what is the clear difference between inspection and an assessment. Can you hear me, sir?
Can you come up with your question again? You are not clear. You are not clear.
I said,
you are not clear.
Okay, I can hear you now. Hello, sir.
I can hear you now. I can hear you now.
Yes, yes. I said I want to get clarification. I want a clarification between inspection and an assessment. What distinguish the two?
You know, there is a way you can inspect and not going into the detail. But when you assess, you go into detail. They are almost the same thing, but just only that one is deeper than the other one.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Item S31. Please, can you rename yourself, please? Let's know your name. We can't be call you Item. Please rename yourself, please.
No, not yet.
Do we still have some other questions, please? Hello?
Hello?
Mr. Raymond?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. Oh, good evening, sir.
Okay, Mr. Raymond, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I wanted to find out. Now, if I have an illegal issue. Yes, sir. Are you hearing me, sir? Are you hearing me, sir?
You said you have a little what?
Okay. My question is this.
I can.
Oh, okay. My question is this. My office, I have this electrician that as part of vendor that works for us. Well, when I came into the department, he was just like, he buys the bulb, he fixes the bulb, in fact, he charges the company. At the end of the month, this guy is paid as much as 600, 800. So when I started looking at it, I said, why is your price is there? He said, he spent his money for the bulb. I said, who negotiate this thing with you? And it's just like the person that was then in charge. He doesn't care how much. In fact, he doesn't even look at his price. So the guy did a lot of things. So by the time we started working, I decided that, okay, I then got to my supervisor. I said, can we just look at the prices of the price and the invoice of this guy every month? We started looking at it every month. In fact, at the point, the guy will increase, he put his labor 50, 60, just like that. I said, what is bringing about it? So my question is this. I made a suggestion. How do we cut that? Because I think he had been long. It's just like a kind of, each time I raise it up, he felt that I'm threatening his job. Why should I be the one that those other people handle? So how do I go about how do I see that this is price of every month? In fact, he gets more money than some people every month. So how do we bring down this kind of thing? How do we bring his price down? I know I've suggested that we can be buying all those material by ourselves, but it looks like my supervisor is too busy to agree with me. So how do I go about, how do I see that all this is price inflation and everything has to come, will have to be reduced?
Okay, Mr. Raymond.
Yes,
the
sir.
first question I want to ask you, your company has a process before you give job out. Do you issue what we call a PO? Or
yes, exactly.
You issue a PO?
Yes, sir. But
okay.
Sorry, sir.
Then,
okay. His own part, I think he has started working before the invention of PO to the company. He just like even vendor form, he never filled the vendor form. So it was my time that we have to force him that he must fulfill a vendor form. He wanted to know what is all the vendor form is all about. So that where the whole problem started with him.
The second question I want to ask you, is that guy, is that contractor the only contractor in your company that can do that job?
Okay, he's not, sir. He is not.
It's not?
Yes, sir.
So if it is not, that means it's not being monopolized. So if it is not being monopolized, then subsequent job, what you needed to do is get him to send you a quotation, get somebody or 2 or 3 people to send a quotation, then compare their quotations, and it's not that it's compulsory, he must be the one doing the job. Get somebody else to do it. But the only thing is that I need to confirm if you are actually the one signing the PO. Because if there's no any column within the PO that you are actually having access to sign, that might be a very difficult thing, because that could be an arrangement between your immediate boss and him. And if your boss is not seeing anything wrong in what the guy is doing, he will be the one that is definitely going to face the management to defend it. You are not the one, because you might not be the one that is going to have access to the management to tell management this is the reason why you are spending this money. But it doesn't mean you can't advise your supervisor. Politely, maturely, and professionally, tell your supervisor, let's try somebody else. I'm not saying this guy is not good. Let's see if we can reduce costs from this area. So you can try somebody else. Let 2 or 3 people quote for that job, and it doesn't mean you should be the one that will do it.
Oh, okay, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Yeah. Mr. Kiki.
Yes, sir. Good evening, everyone.
Please, what is PO? You are lost.
That's purchase order. PO is purchase order.
Yes. Sir, mine is not question. It's just to add to the question, the answer you give to the question my fellow, my colleague just asked you. The truth remains that in such a situation, I believe strongly that somebody somewhere knows about that transaction, because it is not possible in an organization, especially in an FM organization, that somebody will just bring materials, consumables, without anybody confirming it. That means that somebody somewhere knows about what the man is doing. So, of course, the immediate supervisor may not show interest, or maybe trying to be showing a nonchalant attitude. But I believe either the immediate boss or somebody in management that his own immediate boss cannot question, knows about what is happening. So that is my contribution. Thank you, sir.
You are perfect. You are actually right. Because then the other thing is that possibly your company doesn't have processes. Because if your company has processes and policies, that kind of a thing will not happen in your company. Yeah, Mr. Tubosu. I'll answer. I've seen the question. It's talking about the short.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
Mr. Tubosu.
Yes, sir. Can you hear
me,
sir?
Go ahead. I can hear you.
Yes, sir.
Clearly.
In response to the question my other colleague actually asked, he can as well go to the market, do a market service price, get the list, have the list, and also he can also present it if peradventure is not comfortable with bringing someone else, or the man is being monopolized, as you said. He can also do a market survey, get the price, compare it. You will find out that there's something hidden somewhere, and eventually you document it so that you also save yourself if kasala boss. Thank you.
We lost your voice along the line. Can you please come again, sir, Mr. Bosun?
All right, sir. What I said is that he can do a market survey on his own. He can go and do a market survey, do an investigation, do the price.
Sure.
Yes. And at the same time, based on the fact that you said that if the man is being monopolized, you can do that and document those prices. Should in case there are issues in the future, you can tender that to actually save yourself from the mess. Owing the fact that you have told your boss or your superior, your supervisor, that you are not comfortable with the price. Hello, sir. You can hear me, sir?
I agree. I probably agree with you.
All right, sir. Thank you, sir.
I probably agree with you. Yeah.
Honorable.
So I think there is one question on the chat. So you said, sir, please, can you explain destructive testing on the asset under FCA? I think it should be non-destructive testing. Barakat, let's note that. It should be non-destructive testing, not destructive. Please try to correct that. It should be non-destructive testing. Non-destructive testing is just like, let me explain the difference between the two. If you have a pipe that you welded and you want to confirm if water started passing through that pipe, it will not leak. You can do what we call non-destructive testing on that pipe. Plumber does that mostly. When you first of all install plumbing, whatever, in a new building, you inject pressure into those piping network, and by the time you come the following day, if there is a pressure drop, that means definitely there is a leakage somewhere within that building. Then the other aspect you can notice it is that people who are into HVAC, when they charge a new unit, a new compressor for the first time, they will leave their gauge on that unit and keep observing. That is a non-destructive testing. They want to see if there is going to be any leakage along the line. If the temperature, if the pressure doesn't drop from where it was for like 3 or 4 hours, that means there's no leakage. But destructive testing is more or less like, you know, when it's mostly done by these manufacturing companies, just like, let me take Michelin, for an instance. When Michelin manufactured tire, the vehicle tires, they subject that tire to destructive testing. Destructive testing means they will run that tire to the extent that that tire breaks or it shatters. At that point where that tire shatters, that is the destructive point of that tire. They will keep, or you put this PPR pipe, they subject it to pressure. They start with maybe 10 bar, 20 bar, 30 bar. They will keep increasing the pressure gradually. The point at which the pressure gets to and the pipe gets destroyed, that is the not destructive point of that pipe. That is the difference between destructive and non-destructive. So that means any pressure above that will destroy that pipe. And they will tell you, and that is where maximum pressure always comes from. Maximum load, maximum capacity, maximum weight. So they know that anything above that, it will destroy that particular whatever. Or possibly your structural engineer will tell you, this is the maximum load that this building can take. So that's the difference between destructive and non-destructive. Mr. Samuel, I hope that answers your question. You say, how long should FCA take? Facility condition assessment is done once. You could only be doing your evaluation maybe on a monthly basis. Facility condition assessment is done once before taking over a facility, to know what you have in your portfolio and to know what is the condition of those assets, and so that you don't take what we call liability. So any other question, please? Okay, in the absence of no question, we will try to bring this class to an end. So we see on Monday when we shall be discussing water treatment plants, sewage treatment, and plumbing. Thank you, everybody, for taking your time today. And once again, we sincerely apologize for starting the training late today. Sorry about that. It's not of our kind. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Engineer Emmanuel.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Engineer
Good
Emmanuel.
night,
Thank
sir.
you very much.
Have a great weekend.
Good night.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Good night. Good night. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.